Hi all, I'm new here and to Reddit in general, but found this sub after I started dating my current wife, a Redditor. Hi. And it's been eye-opening to read what everyone's gone through. I decided to share my story of my ex-wife Elle as a kind of airing out of the whole thing, to help myself order my thoughts on everything. I'm also hoping to help out anyone on here who's currently in a relationship with a wayward spouse and isn't sure what to do. Maybe this will help push you to get out of a toxic spot and take what you deserve from life. I grew up on a 26-acre horse farm out in rural Ohio. Growing up, I was a loner and preferred reading books to talking to people. Only ever had a few girlfriends, if middle school even counts, and didn't really put the effort in to actually have a relationship with much of anyone besides a few close friends. My parents had gotten divorced when I was young. I lived with my mom and saw Dad every other weekend. This did have an effect on me growing up, mainly that I had a hard time knowing what a healthy relationship looked like, and didn't really have time with Dad to have a healthy male role model. Mom had a series of boyfriends, some of which were physically abusive to my brother and I. I remember getting backhanded across a room at 10 by one of them, or belted anytime anything at all was out of order. Another one used glue traps for the mice in the garage and made us watch when he'd cut them off the traps, which he'd do by cutting all their legs off before throwing the still living, legless mouse in the trash can. Real gem, that one. I learned very quickly to just keep my mouth shut and act generally pleasant, because anything else might get me punished, usually hit. This also made me develop an unhealthy attitude of just grin and bear it, don't have issues, and if people were bad to me, I'd just take it. Whenever I could, I would recess into myself and my books. I was a voracious reader, had over 1,000 books on 5 double-stacked bookshelves in my bedroom. I'd hide in there in the winter, once all the chores were done. Anytime the weather was good enough, I'd be outside, reading in the forest, out in the hay field, and spent a lot of time over in the old cemetery across our field. It was beautiful, but looking back, probably not the most healthy lifestyle. Sorry for the backdrop dump, but through some therapy, I've come to realize that my upbringing put me in a vulnerable spot for staying with an abusive partner. My hang-ups and coping mechanisms just led me to tolerate a lot of intolerable behavior from people. Elle and I met when we were in our mid-teens, at a church lock-in that neither one of us wanted to be at of all things, and hit it off right off the bat. She was one of those mid-aughts quirky girls, writing weird poetry, yelling spork, all the standard stuff at the time, and decently attractive with curly hair. She came up and challenged me to an air hockey game, and you know how the rest of that story goes. We dated pretty much exclusively for the next 7 years. Finished high school together, went to the same college, even got the same scholarship to attend the same local state college. We had our ups and downs, but I put that down just how relationships must be. She was erratic at the best of times, tried isolating me from the few friends I had because they were jealous of her taking all my time. She'd cry over the smallest stuff, hit me when she was mad over things I had nothing to do with, and just generally pester me to shower her with love. She needed constant validation from everyone around her, and wasn't too shy about trying to get it. I put up with all this because she was my first real girlfriend, and she was great at just minimizing her bad behavior into something I was just too dumb to get. I'd just think she was being irrational, but would put up with it to get back to our normal lives. College was where the more obvious red flags started coming. Within a few months of her coming to college, she was constantly hanging around with other dudes in our dorm, honors dorm. There were all male and all female suites that shared a building. I would ask if we were still good and get positive answers, but then find her sitting on some guy's lap in his room later that same night. Multiple times I caught her making out with randoms, and just generally behaving inappropriately with guys. After I told her everything I'd seen and threatened to break up with her if she didn't tell me the truth, it came out that she'd given one other guy oral, which she described in excruciating detail. She said she was obsessed with him because, no lie, he looks like the guy from Napoleon Dynamite and is just really hot. Yes. Should have ended everything we had right there, for that comment alone, but we'd been together for nearly 5 years at that point, so I thought we could fix things and reconcile. I confronted the guy, she cut off contact, and things got better for a bit. I ended up getting a decent job with a local construction company my junior year of college and saved up enough in 6 months to make a down payment on a house. This was in 2008 in an older steel town, so housing values were pretty much rock bottom. I talked it over with Al, and we decided to buy a house fairly close by our school and just start our life together while we finished up college. We also got engaged shortly after moving in. I thought that by removing her from the co-ed dorm I'd fix her cheating issues, and it really did seem to work for a bit. All in all, it seemed like life was looking up.
To be continued in Part 2.